Hi, it's Astronaut B again. Space is so fascinating, but I do miss my friends down on Earth, though. Hey, let me tell you a little secret. I asked my friends to use their telescope to look up at my spaceship right about now. I'm going to use a special communication tool that I've created to send them a message. And while we do this, you're going to learn about encoding information, decoding information, and tracing code to fix it when it isn't working correctly. This is going to be fun! As you can see, I've painted a few symbols on the window of the rocket. While my friends look up with their telescope, I can program this flashlight to rotate to the symbols I want them to see. Sometimes computers use symbols just like this to represent information. The process of changing information into a different type of information is called encoding. Decoding would be the opposite, which reverses the process and gets the original information back. Now that we have our encoding system, we have to think about what functions might be useful in order to both move our flashlight and then transmit the symbol it is pointing to. Looking at this communication layout, let's take a moment to think about what two functions we need. Well, I need to be able to turn the flashlight, so the function named turn will help us do that. The turn function will turn the flashlight clockwise to the next available symbol. Next, we need a way to turn on the flashlight to show my friends the symbol. Let's use the send function to do that. The send function will turn on the flashlight and send the current symbol that it is facing. Now I think we have enough commands available to communicate with my friends. Let's experiment with the communications system by opening up your code editor to the task named Space Communication. This first task only requires you to send the rocket symbol. Give it a try. Great job! For this example, we need to call the turn function 4 times so that our flashlight is pointing to the rocket, like this. Then we call the send function to light up our flashlight so that my friends can see the symbol. The next communication will be a little more complex. Here is a great tip that you can use in all of your coding in order to determine if your code will be correct. Once you write out all of your code, you can do something called tracing your code. Tracing code is the act of reading each piece of code line by line and seeing what it does. By doing this, you can determine if the program will work even before it runs. This comes in really handy when you have complicated code. For example, if you wanted to send the hand pointing down symbol, but the hand pointing up symbol was being displayed, you could follow through this code step by step and see what is wrong. Can you figure out what's wrong? Pause the video here and see if you can figure it out. That's right! We only sent 2 calls to the turn function when we really needed to call it 3 times. Now, the code is correct and should send the correct symbol. Now that you have the hang of it, pause the video here and finish the rest of the space communication tasks and send some more messages to my friends. Thanks for helping send those messages. While you were working on those, I received a message from Mission Command. They want to know our current position based on what planets we can see. Our onboard computer has the ability to send images based on what planets we are currently near. If we are able to recreate the assemblage of visible planets as an image, Mission Command will know where we are. For this task, we will need to overlay images of nearby planets to match the view outside our main window. To do this, we need to mark and unmark groups of planets using the mark group and unmark group functions. Let's test them out to see what they do. If I call the Mark Group 1 function, all of the planets in the Planet Group 1 image will be illuminated. If I call the Unmark Group 2 function, all of the planets in Planet Group 2 will be turned off. The planets from Group 1 that are not in Group 2 remain illuminated. Does the resulting image match the view from our window? Yes, these are the planets we can see. Mission Command will now know our current position. In this lesson, you've learned about encoding information, which changes information into symbols. You've also learned about decoding information, which changes those symbols back into readable information. Last, you learned how to trace code in order to determine where code might have gone a little wrong. Use what you've learned to work through this next task and communicate to Mission Command where we are. Open your code editor and complete the Navigational Planets tasks. Be sure to complete the programming tasks, practice questions, and extension activities before moving on to the next lesson. And remember, in the universe of coding, the possibilities are infinite. I'll see you next time.